Hello, ActiveSage here on the Sage channel, and yesterday a fantastical update came out for Space Engineers that has fixed landing gears. And I'm not kidding, it's actually genuinely fixed landing gears. Now, of course, they are always relatively stable in single player, so what I'm going to show you right now isn't too much of a surprise. It's a rotor setup with a large spindly thing here with landing gears on the ends of all of them. And what I'm basically going to do is just turn on the rotors, and you'll see that it should not fly apart. Let's Sage Station, let's select our rotors, there we are, and just turn them on. They should all, yep, do their spinny thing. Okay, well, what should be noted is I might have pushed it a bit farther than expected, honestly. Oh dear. Oh, that's a wiggle. That is a wiggle. Well, even though this looks slightly unstable, it has to be said, though, that me and Aaron went ahead and did some testings on a multiplayer hosted server. Well, I was hosting, Aaron was playing, and while we were there, we figured out a few things, and I have a little bit of footage of that. I'm going to cut in here every now and again. What we found is that now, if you go ahead and dock your ship with a larger ship using a landing gear, you're going to lose control of your ship. You'll still be able to access its inventory, press K and access its control panel, and press Z to disable your inertial dampeners, but if you try to actually do W, A, and D, up, down, any of that nonsense, it will not actually function. What is happening is that you are now part of the same grid as the ship you've connected to, similar to how merge blocks work. So basically, landing gears are now functioning more like merge blocks, where the ship is actually merging with the other one. Now, in the control panel, you're not going to see the functions of the other ship. Same with the ship that you connected to. It's not going to be able to see the functions of your small ship. It's not going to be able to turn on and off your inertial dampeners. It also should be noted that when you press P, because you're connected with the main ship, you might fear that any other ship connected might also find its landing gears toggling when you press P. Worry not. That's not going to happen. When you press P, it's only going to be affecting your small ship that you've docked. Same with if you are the large ship pressing P to control landing gears, you're not going to be able to control the landing gears of any small ships that have connected to you. Even though they're now acting as the same grid as your ship, you're not going to be able to access any of their actual functions. They're simply acting as part of the same grid. This should also be noted that this means that when you're pulling a ship via landing gear, no longer will you basically act as if you're pulling a separate entity, where your ship would originally, if you're flying forward with something attached to the bottom of your ship would always aim downwards as dragging this thing along. That's not going to happen any longer, because they're acting as the same grid. The center of mass is no longer important, as is the case in Space Engineers. In reality, of course, it would always cause an issue, but Space Engineers, thrust replacement, center of mass doesn't really matter too much, except for theoretically once we get to planets and everything's affected by gravity. So you're not going to have to worry about any silly nonsense like that anymore when using landing gears. It's a fantastical change to landing gears that makes them far more useful. And remember that if you're in a small ship and you go ahead and connect to another ship, when you go ahead and press P, you're the one who loses control of your ship, not that other person. It should be noted, though, that if you go ahead and take an enemy ship, so let's say a pirate or your buddy who's now attacking you, and you go ahead and install a landing gear and a control panel to their ship, and go ahead and fly even just a singular block with maybe a control block on it up in front of that landing gear and dock it, because the large ship with this landing gear is thinking it's now docking to another ship, its thrusters and basic maneuvering systems are going to shut down, as in not function. Inertial dampers will still be moving, but the main ship will actually stop moving. So this can be used as a, well, rather dangerous way to stop your enemy ships from moving. I might not suggest it because it does take a fair bit, but you could imagine getting inside of a large open area inside an enemy ship without them knowing, installing a landing gear and doing this. Another thing that Aaron and I noticed while we were mucking about is that if you go ahead and pick up a stone, rather strangely enough, or stone, any sort of ore, your whole ship appears to have the same gravitational forces applied to it, as in, suddenly your ship weighs a lot. You can see this ship is attempting to thrust free right now. Rather, unfortunately. You can see even when I stop thrusting, it just falls back down the inertial dampers to try to catch the ship, which is almost like a miniature way to have a planet. Hey, look at this one too, I grabbed it and I tried to get free. Doesn't exactly get to planets. Very odd, and maybe a taste of what's to come for planets. I can't wait to have to actually have a bunch of thrusters on the bottom of your ship to keep your whole ship aloft, because these are pretty hefty ships. There's a lot of metal there, really. Unless it is just a thin metal piece stretched over it all. Anyway, let's go ahead. There's a few other things with this, and by the way, you can see that all the time I was speaking there, this thing has still been spurging out, and you'll notice that the landing gears, even though the rotors are not having a nice day, the landing gears themselves are still holding together. And we'll actually go ahead and really quickly select this. Let's select our rotors here and just turn them off. Turn them off. They should all be off now. Should all be off. All the rotors should be off. It's slowly coming to a shaky, shaky halt. Come on. Did I might have forgot to put braking force on some of those rotors. Braking force all the way up. There we go. Stop. Stop right there. No more moving. Oh, I feel sick. I might be sick. Well, yeah, so you can see rotors still not exactly the most happy, hunky-dory things in the world. But at least landing gears are most definitely holding on now like they've never held on before, because you can just know this would be a nightmare from hell in the past. Now, let's cut off these. We're just going to do a quick test and basically remove these sections here, which is causing a small amount of chaos. Okay, and that seems to have solved our problem. So I don't know why that was happening, honestly. I don't know why those few were causing it, but it seems like our issue has now been solved now. Let's actually go ahead and just turn that back on for shits and giggles here. And on. So yeah, there we go. Maybe it was something to do with some of those landing gears still being a bit finicky. I don't know, but you can see here the landing gears are definitely working as I expected now. Even if we lost a few first. Oh, Lord. Also, something else that I did find today is, well, I say I did find that the devs did today, and you probably noticed it on the ends of those, is they've actually added turrets for small ships. So if we were to fly over here, we have these nice little Gatling drones here. Well, it's got turrets on the edges of this, and they did this mainly, I believe, so that they could now spawn in small enemy drones. There's actually a rather hefty-looking enemy drone ship that can spawn and hunt you down and begin launching. Basically, small fighter drones will spawn from it, and it'll come and attack you. And after a while, the ship, if you don't defeat it, will just fly away. And I don't know if it'll take its drones with it, but it'll fly away. Now, they have also added missile drones, or I say missile drones, missile turrets for small ships as well as the large ones you've just seen. And these sort of look like railguns almost. I love the way they look. Aaron did point out a strange fact that how are the missiles getting from this platform up into this, considering there's only that thin thing there. But I don't know, I guess magically they are. Maybe one day we'll actually get proper railguns and they'll just look like that. But also, I have something to point out with these drones as well that you might have sort of guessed from the fact that I have missile drone and old code missile drone. If you watched my large ship video recently where I had a large ship doing some fighting, you'll note that the code I had in the programmable block looked something like this. Well, I went ahead and went back to, and forgive the alt-tabbing in video, but to the modding site, or the Steam Workshop page where they have a modding guide, and they changed the code here. So here's the script's basic code for Drone That Follows player, like they were using, and you see now this is fairly different from the one that I had the other day. This has changed since I put out that video, and I don't know, maybe it was to do with this update, they changed it. But what I have noticed when testing was a few small issues, and let's see, maybe it changed and I didn't notice it yet. So let's go ahead, we're going to take this ship, add it be owned by Space Pirates, so that's that one there. That's with the old code. And now with the old code, it's programmed that it should be trying to find me and hunt me down. Yeah, you can see that it's trying to find me and hunt me down. And if its turrets were not disabled, it would actually be shooting at me right now. Now, the new code that we just saw on that page, so let's go ahead and select this missile drone here. And we're going to go ahead and once again set it to be, let's check its timer really quickly to make sure its timer is functioning. Yep, its timer's functioning, so let's go ahead and select it and tell it to be owned by Space Pirates. It's doing nothing. It's not functioning at all, honestly. So I'm finding that very, very odd. And we can do a double check because I might have had that one set up a bit odd. Let's do this Gatling drone. We're going to go back to the timer. And we're going to go ahead and select action setup here. You see we have this set to run with default arguments. And just start. We're going to copy it just in case that doesn't work. We'll switch that a little bit. And once again, just showing that it does have the new code in it as well. There we go. So yeah, you can see new code. We'll even go ahead and double copy this. I said double copy. We'll even go ahead and refresh this page and copy it again just in case it's updated again. Right there. Control A, Control V. Remember code, check code, says it's good. Remember and exit. Double checking that timer is most definitely running because the timer pings the coding thing, pings the remote control, the programmable block. So now that we got that checked, we're going to go ahead and set this to be on. And there it goes. What's it doing? Well, it's definitely not hunting me. Even though right here they say basic script that follows player, it most definitely isn't following me. What it's doing is going to Origin. So I found this with basically the new code. Now they all go to Origin. Anyway, you probably wanted to see some of these drones, or some of these turrets actually shoot at stuff. So what I'm going to do is refresh this page and basically, well, toss a few of these hostile drones that'll actually chase me in. So there we go. I've just pasted in the old code into that one missile drone that previously didn't work. I'm also going to go to the timer here, and you see it's running. I'm going to go ahead and change this. Well, it should be running. It's saying run with default arguments. It's the same as the one to the right of that did work. So I'm not quite sure why it didn't work, actually. We'll stop and start it again. And we're going to go ahead and actually activate these missile turrets as well. Online. And here comes bad guy drone. Oops doozy. And there we go. So that one's actually turning. But now it's got the old code, so it is functioning properly. And we'll go ahead and do the same with the Gatling drone. So you'll see that there's a few bullets coming in right now. That's actually coming in from that thing over there, which because I restarted this, it actually stopped spinning. We can go ahead and turn it on once again. Well, that's been disconnected, but oh no. Oh, that's going to hit that other one, and now it's spurging out again anyway. Righty-ho-ho. Has this guy been defeated? Oh, he was just wrecked. He had a bad day. So you can see that even though we only had Gatling turrets over there, they just completely mollered this missile turret drone here. Just completely wrecked it. Let's go ahead and give this guy some fun, shall we? So this is the old one. Let's go ahead and activate him, shall we? Shall we? Let's say it too many times until we annoy ourselves. And once again, this is definitely the old one, so we don't have to worry about any of that. Set you to be owned by space pirates and copy you. And so now we can go ahead and toss a few of these out here into the world. And you can even see those turrets there are still firing. And so now these are actually going to try hunting me down as well. So yeah, now you can have small ships that are going to cause you trouble as well, not just those large ship drones. Anyways, that is it for today's update. I did have a small battle with Aaron to test out these turrets as well. I didn't really pay too much attention to where I was flying. I was hoping the turrets would do their job, and they didn't because of the weird setup of my ship. But yeah, here at least these small ship drones are still doing their job of being quite terrifying. And they've just severed the whole spindly thing now. So that's awesome, because of course the missile turrets are just going to target whatever is closest to them, not necessarily targeting me. I said not necessarily targeting me. Attack the station, not me. They're still attacking me. They're very mean. And you can see those turrets are just still ever so slightly trying to shoot back at them. Oh, it's nifty stuff, this. Alright, so that is it for this update. Thank you a bunch for watching. Remember, one of the main things here is landing gears are no longer borks. They're fantastic now. They seem to be working great. Aaron didn't report any problems, and I got a little tiny bit of jitter only when we had two small ships locked together. We did a lot of silliness with small ships locking together, so it all turned out pretty damn well. Anyways, that's it. Thank you a bunch for watching again, and I shall see you next time. Ta-ta. You call that being affected by gravity? You call that being affected by gravity? You call 5 dinky thrusters somehow managing to keep a ship aloft without any real strain being affected? Bullfinkel.